You know, one of the, you see the title down below, it says the top 3 ways, basically it's going to say the top 3 ways to own a movie. Now, we all know that there's a certain way, a more free way, you know, if I mean, to own a movie, except right now, that's not possible anymore. No, it's not. Until word comes around that things might smooth out and things might change, right now that is not possible. However, there are other means of doing this. And we're going to look at some of the top 3, maybe top 5, depending on if I name two more of, but mainly the top 3 ways of doing it. Now, one of the main ways of owning a movie, of course, is the digital way. In other words, going on places like Amazon Video Prime, Xbox, PlayStation 3, or PlayStation Network, you know, whatever, like I said, Xbox, PlayStation Network, even Walmart, if you will, Target, perhaps, other places like that. Basically all these digital services that allow you not just to rent, but to also buy these movies and have them digitally on your device. Even iTunes can be put into that category. iTunes, Xbox, Amazon, you know, you name it. It can be done. Walmart's Vudu, or Voodoo, or whatever it's called. Vudu. Things like that. That's one way to own a movie. Another way, of course, is the traditional way. Go out and buy it. Physically own the DVD or Blu-ray. That's one way of doing it. Now, however, the cheaper way of doing it, in the end, in the number 1 way to own a movie, in the end, is to use on demand. Now, you might say, well, on demand is not a cheap way to own a movie, it's just a cheap way to rent it. Ah, so you think. But you see, on demand, along with, well, okay, there's actually 4 reasons. There's actually 4 reasons. On demand is the number 1 way. The second way that actually should take place right after owning the DVD is a thing called rent DVD and Blu. It's called DVD, is software like DVD Fab. That's right. So basically right there, your first 3 are streaming, owning the physical disc itself, going out to a place like Walmart or Target or wherever and buying it, or renting it and using a software called DVD Fab, or software very similar to it. And by using that software, depending on what movie or DVD or Blu-ray you're going to copy, you'll basically be able to own it in a cheap way. Now you might say, well, how do I do that? Well, depending on your favorable rental source, basically the rental source that you favor more than the other, either it's Netflix or let's say Redbox, you rent the movie, and depending on what movie it is and even who the distributor is, sometimes that movie will, at most times, be copyable. In other words, you'll be able to get it. However, there will be times where you won't be able to get it. And that'll be with certain movies. An example with me, as I've mentioned before in previous videos, are movies like Iron Man 2. I couldn't get it for some reason. I couldn't do it. And there was another one I couldn't do. And they were all distributed by the same people being Paramount, which was kind of funny. Which was kind of funny because Paramount now helps, or used to distribute DreamWorks. There you go. Anyway, getting on to what I'm saying, depending on the movie or the DVD or whatever you want to call it, that is the second cheapest way to go. Now you might say, well, it's not totally cheap, Brian. Well, yeah, it's true. First you got to basically download the software, as well as you got to go out and buy the physical disc. Excuse me for a second. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Me and my mom's cat wanted out of the garage and into the room, my room. So I had to put her in. Anyway, like I said, true, it will cost at first. Basically, you got to buy and download the software, and you also got to buy the physical recordable disc. But in the end, despite all that, you will still be saving money in the end, because depending on, let's say, what your membership is with Netflix, depending on if it's just 1, 3, or 5 discs that you rent out, all depending on that, you basically will be able to own the DVD or own the movie or whatever DVD or Blu-ray you're renting contains. Now, the thing is, you'll be able to own it. Now, you might say, well, Brian, that doesn't seem right? Well, technically, you might be right, but when you take a look at your price plan, or your plan with, let's say, Netflix, it kind of works out in the end. It really does. When you think about mine, I'm about, let's say, 25, let's say about 25, 18, and then you times that by 12, I'm technically paying within a whole year's worth, I'm technically paying $302, just a little above $300, $2 above 300, which isn't a bad sign. Now, if you were to do the 5 rentals per, mail, basically get 5 movies in the mail, then you add up the payment, what that would be, and you kind of get the idea of why, in the end, it's cheaper to go in that route of having the software like DVD Fab, having the physical recordable disc right there, and then using your DVD recordable drive on your computer to do just that. Now, again, getting back though to the number 1 reason, on demand. And on demand, again, as I mentioned before, you may say, well, it's not really owning the movie. You're just owning it for 2 days, and then it basically goes off your box. Or 2 to 3 days, and it goes off your box. That is true. However, just like DVD Fab, in the end, it's going to save you money. Because just like DVD Fab, you're going to have to spend money to save money. You see, with me, I've been associated with DVD recorders for almost 10 years now. My first 3 were the same brand, Apex. The first one didn't even last a week. The second one lasted a few months, And then the third one lasted, thank God, for about a year. And then it died. And then after that, I went out and got myself an ILO DVD recorder. That lasted me until about 2009. And ever since the summer of 2009, I've had a Sony DVD recorder thanks to my mom as an early birthday gift. So, technically, like I said, I've been associated with these kind of things before. But in the end, it actually helps out. Because right now, currently, I am recording Cirque du Soleil's Worlds Away movie on demand for $4.99, $4.99, about $5. And you got to say to yourself, wow, that's kind of cheap. Yeah, it is. Essentially, I am getting what right now at a place like Walmart is a near $20 movie on Blu-ray or on DVD, if not $25 worth movie on Blu-ray. I am getting for essentially what is known as a $5 Ben movie that you would find. I mean, you know those DVDs and even Blu-ray Bens and, you know, whatever they have at stores like Walmart? Technically, that's basically what I've ordered Cirque du Soleil for. Same with Wreck-It Ralph. The same with yesterday with Rise of the Guardians. So basically for $15 altogether, I was able to get those 3 movies. Now yes, they get added onto the cable bill. But if you take everything off that cable bill, as I've mentioned in previous videos, you technically are paying $15 for essentially what is almost $60 worth of a movie, if not $70, $80 worth of movies, depending on what your format is. And again, it goes back to exactly what the DVD fab thing was about. You have to spend money to save money. So if you have to go out and buy yourself a DVD recorder, which are getting pretty good, which are becoming decent in price now, as well as buy the physical recordable disc, in the end, you'll be saving yourself a lot of money. Now, if you keep up with your cable bill, and everything, there's an answer there too. So basically, those right there are the top 4 ways to save, top 4 ways to own movies in a cheap way. Top 4 cheap ways to own movies. Legally, that is. Legally, in my opinion. So, now I know you might say, well, DVD fab's not totally legal. It's legal unless you're selling the movies for your own profit. Then it's not. But it is legal if it's just for your own private home use. So, and you're not trying to make a profit. So, again, that, ladies and gentlemen, is my top 4 cheap ways of owning the newest movies. So, if you got any comments, let me know down below. Comment if you like. Video responses are greatly appreciated. I'll talk to you all later.